I was walking away from my old stone and mud cottage that morning when suddenly something small ran straight across my path and forced me to stop. When I looked down, my breath caught. A lion cub stood in the dust in front of me. It was thin, dirty, and trembling, and when it cried, the sound was not threatening. It was weak and desperate, like a child calling for help. The cub was not lost. It was asking me to follow. My heart began to pound. Following could mean death, but turning away felt impossible. I tightened my grip on my water pouch, touched the stone knife at my waist, and followed the cub into the tall grass. The sun burned overhead as the cub led me forward, stopping often to make sure I was still there. After a short while, it guided me toward a lone acacia tree standing over ground that looked broken and sunken. When I stepped closer, my breath stopped. The earth had collapsed into a deep pit. At the bottom lay a lioness. Her massive body was trapped far below, her movements slow and weaker than claws. I spoke gently, slowly, letting my voice carry calm instead of threat. I did not step closer yet. I could see her sides heaving with every breath, her muscles trembling from exhaustion. The pit walls were scratched and blood-stained, where she had tried again and again to climb out. She had fought the earth until it defeated her. I slowly removed my water skin and knelt, uncorking it with care. I moved inch by inch, watching her eyes, ready to retreat if she gathered even a trace of strength. When I tilted the skin and let a few drops fall onto her tongue, her reaction was immediate. Her dry mouth closed around the water, and she swallowed desperately, licking at the dirt to catch every drop that spilled. I gave her only small sips. Too much would shock her body. I remembered the elders' warnings, lessons passed down through stories and scars. The lioness drank until her head sagged again, her breathing easing just slightly. Her eyes never left my face. They were no longer angry. They were tired. I was wiping my shaking hands on my hide skirt when something moved near the rocks at the far side of the pit. At first I thought it was dust shifting. Then I saw the shape slide forward, slow and deliberate. A snake. Its body blended perfectly with the sand, its scales dull brown and gray. A desert viper, venomous, silent, deadly. It moved toward the lioness, drawn by weakness and heat. The lioness did not see it. She was too weak to lift her head again. The cub cried from above, but its sound was lost in the pit. My heart hammered so loudly I was sure the snake could hear it. I reached slowly for the stone knife at my waist, my fingers numb. One mistake, one rushed movement, and the snake would strike. I shifted my weight carefully, circling wide so the viper would not sense me directly. It continued forward, its tongue flicking as it tested the air. When it was close enough, I lunged, slamming the blade down behind its head, pinning it hard against the dirt. The snake writhed violently, its body whipping around my arm, but I struck again and again until it stopped moving. I staggered back, breathing hard, my entire body shaking. The lioness watched everything. Her eyes were open wide now, focused, aware. Something had changed between us. I returned to her side and poured another small amount of water into her mouth, then pressed myself against the pit wall, listening. That was when I heard it. A scream, high-pitched, panicked, above us. The cub, the sound pierced straight through me. It was not calling its mother anymore. It was warning. I grabbed the rope and began climbing, ignoring the burning pain tearing into my palms. Loose dirt crumbled beneath my feet. But I climbed faster, driven by the sound of fear above. When my hands caught the edge, I pulled myself out and rolled onto the ground, instantly jumping to my feet. 6 hyenas stood in a loose circle around the pit. Their bodies were tense, their shoulders hunched, yellow eyes shining with hunger. Their laughter rolled through the air like broken bones snapping together. Between them and the pit stood the cub. It was so small. Its legs were spread wide, its fur standing on end. It roared with everything it had, a thin, squeaking sound that should have meant nothing. But the cub did not move. It did not run. One hyena stepped forward, testing. The cub lunged back, reckless and brave, snapping at empty air. The hyena jumped away in surprise, snarling. I grabbed a burning branch from the edge of my campfire ring and rushed forward, shouting, swinging it wildly. I hurled stones. I screamed. The hyenas backed off a few steps, not afraid, just cautious. They knew time was on their side. The cub pressed against my leg, shaking, still growling. I could feel its tiny heart racing through its body. I knew then that I could not fight 6 hyenas alone. Not for long. I needed help, and I needed it fast. I gathered the cub in my arms, backing away slowly. never turning my back on the predators. The hyenas followed at a distance, watching, waiting. As the sun lowered and the shadows stretched across the land, I made a decision that terrified me more than the pit ever had. I would leave the lioness for a short time. I would run for help, and I would trust that she and her cub could survive until I returned. I whispered to the cub, promised I would come back, and began to run. I returned with help before the night could claim them. Strong hands and ropes lifted the lioness from the pit, and when her paws touched the earth again, she breathed as if life itself had been returned to her. The cub ran to her side, crying, rubbing against her, refusing to leave. Days later, far from traps and human paths, I watched mother and child walk back into the tall grass. The lioness stopped once, turned her head, and looked at me. She did not roar. She did not growl. She simply held my gaze, then vanished with her cub into the wild. And I knew I would carry that moment with me for the rest of my life.